In the quaint town of Hollow Creek, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, there lay an expanse of trees known as the Whispering Woods. The townsfolk warned that those who ventured too deep into the forest at night often never returned, and if they did, they were never the same. The woods, they said, had a voice, an ancient, malevolent presence that whispered secrets and lured travelers into its depths. Lena, a college student home for the summer, had always been intrigued by the legends of the Whispering Woods. Her best friend, Jake, had disappeared there a year ago, and his body was never found. Despite the warnings and her parents' pleas, Lena decided to uncover the truth about what happened to Jake. Armed with a flashlight, a map, and a digital recorder, Lena set out one evening just before dusk. The sky was awash of oranges and purples as she reached the edge of the woods. Taking a deep breath, she stepped into the forest, determined to solve the mystery. As she ventured deeper, the sounds of the town faded away, replaced by the rustling of leaves and the occasional snap of a twig underfoot. The air grew colder, and an unsettling quiet enveloped her. Lena clicked on her flashlight, the beam piercing the encroaching darkness. Hours passed, and Lena began to feel a sense of unease. The forest seemed to be watching her, and every so often, she thought she heard faint whispers carried on the wind. She dismissed it as her imagination, but the further she walked, the more persistent the whispers became. Finally, she reached a clearing where the trees seemed older and more twisted. In the center stood an ancient oak, its gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal hands. Lena felt an inexplicable pull towards the tree and noticed something etched into its bark. Leaning in closer, she saw that it was a series of symbols and runes, worn by time but still visible. As she traced the carvings with her fingers, the whispers grew louder, more coherent. They called her name, urging her to come closer to listen. Lena's heart raced, but she couldn't tear herself away. She activated her recorder, hoping to capture the sounds. "Lena! Lena!" The whispers seemed to come from all around her, echoing through the clearing. She spun around, her flashlight catching glimpses of shadows that shouldn't have been there. Panic set in, and she tried to run, but her feet felt heavy, as if the ground were trying to hold her in place. Desperate, Lena fell to her knees, her eyes wide with fear. The whispers grew into a cacophony, overlapping voices filled with anger and sorrow. She covered her ears, but it did nothing to drown them out. Tears streamed down her face as she cried out, "What do you want from me?" The voices fell silent all at once, and the clearing became deathly still. A figure emerged from the shadows, a tall, indistinct shape that seemed to shift and waver. It moved closer, and as it did, Lena recognized Jake's face within the shifting darkness. "Jake?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "Lena, you shouldn't have come," he said, his voice a mix of his own and the whispers that filled the woods. "The forest, it consumes those who seek its secrets." Lena reached out, but her hand passed through the apparition. "Jake, I need to know what happened to you." "I tried to leave, but the forest won't let go," he said, his form growing fainter. "You must leave now, while you still can." The ground beneath Lena began to tremble, and the whispers returned, angrier and more insistent. She scrambled to her feet, running back the way she came, the forest seeming to close around her. The path twisted and turned, the trees reaching out like claws. Her flashlight flickered and died, leaving her in darkness. The whispers were right behind her, growing louder, more frantic. She pushed forward, her breath ragged, her heart pounding. Finally, she saw the edge of the forest, the faint glow of the town lights just beyond. With one last burst of energy, Lena broke through the tree line, collapsing onto the grass. The whispers stopped abruptly, and the cold air was replaced by the warmth of the summer night. She looked back at the forest, the darkness within seeming to pulse with malevolence. Lena never spoke of what happened that night, but she made sure to warn others to stay away from the Whispering Woods. Jake's voice still haunted her dreams, reminding her of the secrets she had uncovered and the darkness that lurked just beyond the trees. As the years passed, the legend of the Whispering Woods grew, but Lena knew the truth. Some mysteries are best left unsolved, and some voices are meant to remain unheard.